Tonight, a child is born into a world without last names. There is no birth certificate. There is no blood test. There is no DNA. And yet everyone wants to know the same thing. Who is the father? For most of human history, that question was surprisingly difficult to answer. A mother was obvious. A father was not. Biology made one visible and the other uncertain. That uncertainty shaped families, laws, religions, and entire civilizations. In a small hunter-gatherer band 30,000 years ago, people understood that sex and childbirth were connected, but the connection was not always viewed the way modern people imagine. Some cultures believed a child could be formed by multiple fathers. Others believed spirits played a role. Some thought repeated intercourse gradually built a baby. Without scientific knowledge, humans filled the gaps with stories. Yet people were not clueless. Ancient humans were excellent observers. They watched animals. They watched pregnancies. They noticed patterns. A woman who became pregnant after a relationship often gave birth months later, again and again. The same pattern appeared. Over thousands of years, people learned enough to make educated guesses. But guesses were not certainty, and certainty was what inheritance required. Who would receive land? Who would inherit tools? Who belonged to which family? These questions became more important when humans settled down. Around 12,000 years ago, agriculture began changing everything. For the first time, people owned significant property. Fields mattered. Houses mattered. Stored grain mattered. Suddenly, fatherhood was not just emotional, it was economic. The problem was simple. How do you pass wealth to your children if you cannot prove they are your children? Many societies responded with a social solution. Instead of proving fatherhood, they controlled access to motherhood. Marriage became one answer. If a woman had one socially recognized partner, people assumed he was the father. The system was imperfect. But it reduced uncertainty. Why do so many ancient societies place enormous emphasis on fidelity? Part of the answer may be paternity. Anthropologists have long noted that rules surrounding sexuality often emerge where inheritance matters most. The goal was not scientific certainty. The goal was social stability. Ancient law codes reveal this concern repeatedly. In ancient Mesopotamia, family relationships affected property rights. In ancient Rome, legal fatherhood carried enormous significance. A recognized father could determine a child's social position for life. The question of fatherhood was becoming a political issue. But humans used more than rules. They also used resemblance. A child with the same nose as a man, the same eyes, the same walk, the same voice. These clues carried weight. Even today, people instinctively search for family resemblance. Researchers such as David Buss have studied how humans pay close attention to cues related to kinship and parenthood. Long before genetics, resemblance acted as a rough biological signal. It was not always accurate, but it was often convincing. Then there was behavior, a man who stayed, a man who provided food, a man who protected a child. In many societies, fatherhood became defined by investment rather than biology. The father was the person doing the job, not necessarily the person supplying the genes. This idea appears throughout human history. Among many cultures, adoption created real family bonds. Stepfathers became fathers. Uncles became fathers. Communities shared parental responsibilities. The social role sometimes mattered more than biological certainty. Could ancient humans have known more than we assume? Possibly. Anthropologist Sarah Hrdy has argued that human child rearing often depended on networks of caregivers. Humans evolved as cooperative breeders. That meant survival did not always require absolute certainty about fatherhood. It required enough cooperation to raise children successfully. This may explain something surprising. Many human societies functioned remarkably well despite imperfect knowledge. People built villages, kingdoms, trade networks, empires, all without genetic testing. Then science arrived. In the 19th century, researchers began uncovering the mechanisms of heredity. Later came blood typing, then modern genetics, then DNA testing. For the first time in history, humans could answer an ancient question with extraordinary precision. A mystery that haunted families for thousands of years could suddenly be measured in a laboratory. Yet something unexpected happened. The biological answer did not replace the social one. A father could be biological. A father could be adoptive. A father could be legal. A father could be emotional. The ancient uncertainty never fully disappeared. It simply changed form. Because fatherhood was never only about biology. It was also about responsibility, about recognition, about belonging. For tens of thousands of years, humans identified fathers using observation, custom, trust, resemblance, and social agreement. Those tools built civilizations, not because they were perfect, because they were good enough. And that may be the strangest part of all. The story of fatherhood is not really about discovering who created a child. It is about deciding who stands beside that child when certainty ends.